We have an amazing, amazing season of Skeleton Crew for everyone to watch.
We're Bears in Excess.
I'm Eric.
I'm Christian. Welcome to your show. This episode is about Skeleton Crew. They're coming out to their 5th season, now on July 25th.
Yes.
So we're going to talk to Joshua R. PANGBORN
And Stuart KICZEK.
We're going to talk to them about the show, the season, the show in general.
And a lot more.
Yes.
Not a thing.
It gives me great pleasure to say that the love between Anthony and Hunter is strong.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Bears in Excess show.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you too. It's the first time Stuart is with us. Josh is already
He's
veteran.
a seasoned veteran.
But I'm very happy to be back, so thank you for having me.
Can you please introduce yourselves?
So my name is Joshua R. Pangborn, and I am the creator of Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew Season 5 is coming out very, very soon. And in Skeleton Crew, I am the writer and one of the directors and one of the editors and one of the lead actors. So, I mean, I do a little bit of everything, and I have a lot of fun doing it. We started the show in 2014, and I'm amazed that we are still doing it because it is so much fun, but it's so much work, and people have stuck by me despite all of the extra work that I asked them to do, and I'm really, really fortunate. And one of the people who's been there since day one is my collaborator in the stream with me, Stuart.
I've been here since day 0, and I'll be there at day whatever is the last day. Hi, my name is Stuart. I'm an actor here in New York City. I work in post-production at MTV. As Josh had mentioned before, I've been with him since the get-go with SideKick Productions. I started off helping him with filming stuff on the camera side, directing, editing, and lately Josh has kind of picked up the reins on a majority of the other aspects of that for the later material. And I'm one of his mainstay actors, and will do anything that Josh ever asked me to do because we're just like that.
Everything?
Almost everything acting wise. Almost everything acting wise. It's a discussion. You know, we organically come up with things to do. So, you know.
And how did you get involved with SideKick? How did it start?
My relationship with SideKick Productions started at a kind of typical level where back in the day, before Josh had started with web-based content, he produced some off-Broadway plays. And it was around, I think, 2013 or 2012-ish, later 2012, early 2013, Josh was casting for one of his plays that he was producing. And he contacted me directly on Facebook and told me about his process that he does size-blind casting for his material. And he explained to me what that meant, in that his production company is focused on giving opportunities for individuals and actors or performers to, you know, not have the focus of their weight be the dominate kind of the storyline. Just kind of every role can be any size, you know, and that it doesn't, the role, unless it's certain material based, doesn't have to be based in, you know, a certain size or a certain look. So I found that whole thing to be very refreshing as an actor in New York City, and knowing how hard it is to just find parts as a big actor. To hear somebody say, you know, my production company is just completely open to seeing all sorts of shapes and sizes for roles, and it doesn't matter. So I did the typical process of, he contacted me, he said, I'm casting for this play, could you come in and please read some roles for me? And I went in, had a very typical audition process with him. He liked what I did for the role. I heard from him about a week later. He said he offered me a part in his play, and we've just been collaborating ever since.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Because in the end, I don't think it's not just about the production, it's everything behind, right? The give opportunities to everybody. It's a lot of things going on in the end.
Mm-hmm. Producing content at that level requires a lot of different hats. A lot of people doing a lot of different roles, and Josh has consolidated a lot of those roles onto himself, and is basically a one-man band of just, you know, acting, producing, writing, directing, editing, and it's just, you know, he's a tour de force as far as what's required in order to produce this kind of material.
But I couldn't do it without the people who come alongside me because
you have a good team. I know because
I do.
I'm part of that team. So
I have a
I know you have a
fantastic
good
team.
Yeah,
I
you have a
do.
very good team of people behind you and in front of you and on the side of you and, you know, moving with you forward.
All around me.
Right.
It shows because after all, being since 2014,
That's a long time.
it's not common to last so long. Let's say it's very, especially more niche. Let's say it doesn't take so long, so we managed to go so far. So it means a lot.
Luckily, people have been watching. People have been tuning in since the get-go, and Josh has slowly been building an audience and has a nice, platform for that with YouTube. And there's a lot of people who, find his stuff later on and catch up on old episodes or have been there since the get-go watching along. But the demand is there, and people want to see this kind of material, and people enjoy his material. And so it's like, even if it's a niche market, there's enough demand and ambition and want to do this kind of stuff to just keep it going, essentially, which is why we're at this point where we're already at season 5, which is pretty incredible for a show to last as long as it has.
And I also think it's a niche market that not a lot of other people are filling, really. I mean, there's one or two other shows I can think of, but a lot of them are done already. So we're pretty much one of the only, I think, active shows that are active pieces of entertainment in general that are working in this niche environment, I think.
Was watching one of these things before. You have a lot of bigger guys, different body types. It's so cool that you show so naturally. It's not like oh my god. No, it's
great to see.
It's nice to see that.
Right. The tendency in most shows is that you'll have a character who's larger or a bigger guy or a bigger girl, and you'll maybe highlight them minimally, and their entire storyline will be based on either their fluctuation of their weight, their problems with their weight. The entire storyline is based on their weight, and it's their whole identity. And luckily with Josh, or what he's trying to do is create an environment where the people are just there naturally. They're living their lives, and it's not entirely focused on what they're doing with their body. It's just they're happy, they're doing their thing, and I think that kind of representation is severely lacking. And the more you see yourself naturally in mass media and popular culture, the more comforting that is. For a lot of people, for me personally, growing up, I felt like there was a lack of, there was, of course, the typical big guy actors out there who were doing their thing and creating a place of acceptability. But I feel like nowadays, especially, we want to push that boundary a little bit forward of acceptability and normalizing big people just being on screen. And, supposedly, especially here in America, they say there's like this obesity epidemic, and that there's so many large people out there. But then if you look on television or if you look in movies, they're completely underrepresented, and they're just not there. You don't see these people. And so I think, again, like with what Josh is trying to do and what we all are hoping for, is that this kind of thing becomes normalized and just becomes, we just become people that are shown and not, just pointed a finger at and laughed at. We want to feel like people, and that's really not asking too much. So, that's one reason I particularly am very proud of the work that we do and that we continue to do to try and push that envelope a little bit farther and farther, however we can, because it's necessary.
Even within the community, because since you have a page that you feature guys, we see so much prejudice within the community.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not bad enough, you're not chubby enough, you're not hairy enough. It's so complicated that some people putting emojis, vomiting emojis to some pictures we featured before. Other guys say, "Oh, disgusting." Between
we don't
us,
accept that.
we have issues.
No, that's the problem. As much as the bear community at large is a community that was based on acceptability of a sub community, a minority amongst the bigger community, somehow along the way over the years, there's been a separation of what's, who's acceptable of a bear, who's not a bear. There's limitations, and it's not nearly as accepting as one would think that, oh, if you just identify as a bear, you're automatically, accepted within the community. But there's actually subcategories and a lot of, trying to departmentalize everybody about what they are, who they should be, and identity is important. But there's an inclusion-exclusion problem that happens and that's rampant throughout the bear community. So, the more that everybody can just be accepted for who they are and what they want to be, I think that's just the step in the right direction.
Yeah. Do you have a nickname for your viewers? Like
We call people who watch the show members of the Crewniverse. So we go out with that. And anybody who watches any of our shows, they're all part of the Crewniverse. So
right, because Josh's shows sometimes he's not going full Zack Snyder with shared universe, but he has a little bit of bleed over between one show and the other, and whether or not he's taking like a Kevin Smith-ish approach or a Tarantino approach of like maybe these movies or all these different things are part of the same world. He wants the Sidekick world to kind of all function together, and so I think Josh often refers to the Crewniverse as anything within the SideKick Productions world, but it also includes anybody who's participating in this by watching it, by commenting, by sharing and liking and tuning in for the Sidekick Power Hour. So it's a way, I think, to bring people in and be even more inclusive, to say, oh, we're all just part of the Crewniverse. So
if you were to describe Skeleton Crew to someone who hasn't watched it yet.
Good luck with that one, Josh, because this isn't easy.
This is something that we've struggled with since day one. It's a hard thing to describe because Skeleton Crew does not fit into any box. I think what we've settled on at this point is Skeleton Crew is a gay soap opera featuring plus-size characters that deal with lots of crazy, wacky, zany situations that are both high drama and high comedy and low drama. So a gay soap opera, basically.
Gay soap. I feel when I try and explain it to people, I go on this long diatribe, and I just end up on saying it's a gay soap opera.
Even just now, I was going to say I was just going to end it with it's a gay soap opera, but I'm also like, but it really is about featuring plus size characters so much, so I have to get that in there. So it's a gay plus size soap opera. There we go.
And a melodragomedy.
Yes. Well, back when we first started out, I coined the phrase melodragomedy, which is a melodramatic tragicomedy, which is essentially just a soap opera. But
very true. Very true. So before we start talking about season 5, let's talk a bit about the final episode of season 4, where Anthony and Hunter renew their wedding vows. How did the idea come to bring them back together?
So you've all been brought here on false pretenses. You are not here to witness the marriage of Veronica Stuart to Veronica Stuart. But dear friends and family and some mortal enemies, you've all been brought here to witness the joining of Hunter Wolf to my brother, Anthony Stuart, as they are led in the renewing of their vows by Father Anglicus.
Veronica, this is ridiculous. You can't just expect us to get remarried.
Well, it's not really remarried. We're still married. I never turned in the divorce papers.
You didn't?
I knew that at some point I wanted them to get back together. I wanted Anthony and Hunter. I mean, they after season 1, I realized that Hunter and Anthony were sort of the center, the heart of the show, and that's why seasons 2, 3, and 4 were so focused on them. But I also knew that I wanted to have them explore and struggle and find out who they are individually before they return together as a couple. But I knew by the end of season 4 that it was time to get them back together. But I didn't want to do it in any sort of traditional manner, so I wanted to have a really fun wedding episode that everybody knew was coming. I wanted to work towards a wedding episode, and what better wedding episode than to have Anthony's sister Veronica get married to herself. But in the end, it really was all just a ploy to get them to renew their vows, and Anthony finds out that they're still married, which he thought they were divorced for a year at that point. And then everyone is just all together. It was a really great summation of all the struggles they've been through for the past 3 years, and it was just time to do that. And I knew that people were clamoring for that. People were wanting that. The comments in the audience, from the audience viewers, were all, I really hope they get back together. I really hope that this is gonna not just end with them being separated. I'm really pulling for Anthony and Hunter, and then it's just clear that everyone wanted that, and also that's where the story was going. I mean, Hunter and Anthony are in love, and no matter what happens between the two of them, they are always going to be a couple that deeply loves each other.
Stuart, can you tell us about your character?
I love Angie. If I wasn't on the show, I would probably be watching the show just to follow Angie's storyline because he's just that great to me. Luckily for me, at a certain point, Josh met me on the basis of an actor wanting to do more stuff. And he got to a point in season 1 where he said, hey, I've actually got this character that I haven't filled the role for. How would you feel about playing a priest? And I said, well, that's a little crazy. I never even thought of that. And then we started discussing sort of things for the original story of Angie and where he was going. And luckily, Josh has this organic flow with coming up with stuff where if he likes working with someone or if, people are receptive to the material, he'll let it grow. He'll put the seed in the ground, water it, and just see where it goes. And that's what happened with Angie. And each season, he just started growing and growing and growing and getting more involved and becoming more of the core unit family of the show. And for me, that was just beneficial because I got to do more stuff. So, I love Angie's storyline. I love how much of a loner he is at the same time of wanting to be incorporated and accepted in this family of friends. The idea of finding your family through your friends and not having to, you can find your family. You don't need to stick with whatever you were born into. And one of the greatest aspects of the show, I think, is that Josh has created this core family of main characters that are all intersect and weave in and out of each other's lives. And they're just so ingrained with each other. And I think because we're all friends and because we all like working together, that he's just sort of essentially bottling this lightning that is this charisma and magic that is, doing the work. So I love Angie. There are certain aspects of Angie's storyline that have mirrored my own life, which gives me a lot of really good material to sink my teeth into. So, I love Angie. I want Angie to be a part of the show as much as possible. And Josh has luckily has given me that gift for the last several years.
It's so nice to see your passion about this. It's so infectious.
Well, if you don't, you're not going to get the stuff made. I think sometimes in shows or in productions or in just material, people notice that the people that are working together have a certain chemistry. They have a certain that people, whether you are like a Kevin Smith or a Quentin Tarantino or somebody who likes, finds or, there was like the Happy Madison Productions or whatever. People find people that they like working with, and organically the material is that much more enriched because of the relationship that you have off screen. And then when you infuse the material with that kind of magic of the connection, it's just better material. And that's why some directors and some writers seek out certain people to work with, because they know what they're going to get and they know what they can get out of them. And Josh is luckily, through being so open and being so great, has found all these actors all over New York City that just come on to do one little thing maybe, and then you just get along with them so well, you're like, I love working with you and I want to create more opportunities. And then he'll just weave that into the next season, and there you go. You're just slowly bringing more people on for the ride of this crazy train that Josh is obviously steering ahead. And we don't know where it's going to go, but we just love being on the crazy train.
But it really is. I mean, it's amazing to be able to work with the people that you are friends with and to just take that energy that you have in real life and bring it to the screen. I mean, yesterday Stuart was we were talking about how we were filming some Demon Doctor scenes, and we were there for 12 hours together. But then we wrapped at filming at 8 o'clock. We hung out from 8 o'clock to 1:30 in the morning, just having a good time after we were done filming. We've been together all day already, and we weren't sick of each other yet. We decided to spend time together afterward, just having a good time. So it's really just an incredible experience to have such an amazing group of people around me, and Stuart being one of them, that just you want to be around and you want to make art with, and then you also just want to spend time with, and a lot of that idea of making a family out of people that you find along the way, that's the core of Demon Doctor, core of Skeleton Crew, core of all the shows really that I make, is just a reflection of how I try to live my life.
At independent level of production, when you're an independent artist, when you're an independent production company, you have to find people that you like working with, because you're together, you're doing long hours, you're going to like random locations. Like if you don't find people who like doing the work, they're not going to want to do it. So you find those people that cling to being happy to do it, and you just stick with them and, see where it goes.
Imagine 12 hours, somebody you hate.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody that you don't like being around is going to stick around for 12 hours to film something and be happy and energetic and wanting to do it if they're not, they don't feel like they're a part of it,
And tell us about season 5. Is there happiness in the ever after?
Oh, there's never complete happiness in anything Josh writes. But but I mean, watching a show that's just all happy, I mean, there's no point in watching that then. So, although I guess people would argue that shows like Schitt's Creek do that, and I think that they do that really, really beautifully. That's not what Skeleton Crew is. Skeleton Crew is at its heart a bunch of people who love each other, despite all the drama that they sometimes create for themselves and sometimes have themselves thrust into. And season 5 is no different. Season 5 picks up pretty much right after season 4, where Hunter and Anthony have renewed their vows. They're back together. But it's been, I mean, it's let's be realistic. It's been 3 years for them since they've separated. So they've grown individually and they've learned to be an individual. It's hard to go back to being a team again in the same way that they're accustomed to. So that's one of the big struggles of this season, is how to adapt when you had thought your life was changing and now it's suddenly back to what you thought it was. And it's hard to do that. We focus a lot on that for the core storyline with Hunter and Anthony. One of the major themes this season is something that I think is a big issue that's been brought up, and something you talked about, I think, in that you've seen reflected in your own community as well with Bears in Excess, is toxic masculinity and expectations from the bear community or in general of what a bear is supposed to be or what people are supposed to look like. We deal a lot with toxic masculinity this season, and not just among gays as well. We also deal with it among heterosexual characters. We deal with it among we deal with toxic masculinity in ways that you don't even expect it to be toxic. Or even characters that are necessarily presenting themselves as inherently masculine. We deal with this idea of toxicity in family and toxicity in and around relationships and in with one another. And it all culminates into a crazy, zany musical episode, which deals with a lot of drama before wrapping up for the season. Which I think is pretty crazy. And I will let Stuart talk a little bit about what's going on for Angie this season, because he knows better than me. Well, not better than me, but he knows as well as I do. So.
Well, it's funny that Angie's storyline kind of mirrored a little bit of what was going on with Hunter and Anthony, because there is that aspect of the happily ever after notion. And we've seen it throughout so many sitcoms in the past, of the relationships of the will they, won't they, are they going to finally commit and get together, and then they finally do, and it's kind of as if it's the end all be all. But the happily ever after routine that you had mentioned, and the reality of it, the sad reality of it, is that there's never a fixed point where you're set. You're just like, okay, we're together and everything's perfect, right? And the reality is that relationships take work. And it's constant work. And it's not like you're just settled and everything's fine. You're always going to be working on that relationship with the person that you're in the relationship with. And so one thing that Josh actually very realistically, I think, captures is this notion of the happily ever after. The aftermath of committing to somebody is that it's going to take work. And Angie, luckily, is in a similar situation where he thinks maybe he's found his fixed point, his happily ever after, but it might have been not what he thought it was, and then he finally got what he thought he needed, and it turns out it wasn't. And then how do you deal with the struggle of the aftermath of realizing that maybe the choices that you made weren't the best ones, and that you're working with somebody in a relationship, and you have to figure things out, and sometimes that's very tough and very difficult, and you have to struggle emotionally to admit certain things to this person that you care about, and then work together with them to build something, or decide to not build something, or it's tough. And I think luckily for Josh, he really encapsulated that difficulty of being in a relationship, both with Angie and Drake, where they leave off at the end of the season, and the way Hunter and Anthony go through what they're going through.
A long time ago, when I was in college, I was thinking about a project to write for my senior project, and it was an idea of what happens if Romeo and Juliet didn't kill themselves. What would be the story after that? So that's sort of I've always, like Stuart said, I've been interested in that sort of like what happens after the love story is like pushed together and the characters are happily ever after. What's the next part? I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love Into the Woods so much. I mean, Into the Woods, the first act is the fairy tale, but the second act is where everything just gets blown up. And I mean, yes, everyone is super happy, but is that enough? And that's sort of one of the questions we explore right now in season 5.
Yeah, that gets pushed a lot in pop culture and, throughout the years of the happily ever after notion. You find the person you're in love with and everything's just going to magically work out, right? That's how it works, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, actually, that's not how it works. And you have
for everyone.
Not for everyone. No, and it works as far as happiness and feeling like you've really got something that you want, but there's still work. There's still it's not easy, So I think you're good about portraying that it's not easy, even after you found the person that you love and that you want to be with. That kind of commitment takes work, and I think that's rarely explored in stories on television and in movies. And you do it exceptionally well. So that gets handled a lot in season 5, and so that's something I'm looking forward to experiencing, watching it over after doing it, and hearing what other people have to think about what we did. Because life and TV and movies is not the same thing. But if you find that thing that kind of bridges that gap of reality to fiction and fantasy, that's the material that's really great, I think. And luckily, Josh, I think, has very much encapsulated that in this next season.
Josh, you get so many things about your life in these shows, in these stories. How do you put things in the show? Inspirations.
That's a great question. Well, when the first couple seasons, I was really I did what I did with a lot of my early projects when I was writing theater and when I was doing in college and everything, which was I was really inspired by classical works. A lot of times I would take a classical work of literature or a classical work of drama and find ways to be inspired by it for a modern audience. Like the first season of Skeleton Crew, a lot of it is inspired by the play Medea. By Euripides from ancient Greek drama. So, but by this point, I'm starting to really draw on much more original ideas of my own that are questions that I'm asking myself about life, about experiences. Some of it's inspired by the news, like with toxic masculinity as being one of the themes of this season. I mean, I just see so much of that in the community right now. That's something that I just really felt like this is something I want to tackle right now. I want to deal with this. I want to address it. It might not be the sexiest or the most exciting theme that some of our audience is expecting, but it's a theme I think that really needs to be confronted and addressed. Sometimes, especially with characters that I've worked with, with actors who I've worked with for a while, like Anglicus or Hunter or Polly or Dennis or Chaz. Some of it I'll definitely turn to the actors and ask them what they want to see explored, because they know the characters individually very, very well. And while I know them holistically, they know them because they've been playing them. So I want to see what questions they have for their characters or what they want to explore. And sometimes I will find something that they've suggested that really inspires me to write something more. And sometimes I'll be like, let me file it away and see if I can come up with something about that later. Sometimes for my life, I'll take something that I'm dealing with or exploring or confronting, and I will find a way to incorporate that into the work, because I think that's what an artist should do is find ways to connect the questions and the drama and the things that they're feeling and putting it into the art that they're making.
And when you write something, how long does it take to write an episode, for example?
An episode of Skeleton Crew is probably 2 days worth of work. It's about 40 to 60 pages, and if I know what I'm doing, if I have the storyline, then it takes about 2 days of writing, maybe 3. But and again, that's the first draft. But I mean, to get a first draft out, it's about 2 to 3 days of writing, I would say.
There's writing it, and then there's getting to set, and then there's filming it, and then sometimes certain things just don't work, or certain things do work, or Josh is very awesome about being open to be organic in the process, and letting people chime in about, like he had said, interpretations they have, or I think maybe I would say it like this, or I think my character would do that. And it's an organic process between what's written on the pages and then what we do on set. And we luckily, Josh is not one of these directors or writers who's like, I wrote it this way, you're going to say it this way, and that's how I want, and that's it. As opposed to like, what do you think? What's your interpretation, or how do you see this, or do you think this is right? And I've luckily come to Josh and said, I think this should happen, or I think that should happen. And he's been like, all right, let's come together, figure out a way to do it, and then organically let it come together. And I think that shows on screen, because it just is an enriched process when your director or your writer is open to interpretation.
And sometimes, because we are in independent filmmaking, sometimes a Skeleton Crew is usually 6 to 9 months of filming. So because we only film on Saturdays and Sundays, because most people have a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday, or something equivalent to that. So we can usually film 1 or 2 days a week. So we have 300-400 pages of material to film. That takes about 6 to 9 months, and people don't always realize how long that takes. But in 6 to 9 months, sometimes big things change. Sometimes an actor gets a great opportunity and they have to move, and we haven't finished filming all their stuff. So one of the other things that happens when it comes to writing the show is that we have to adapt as we're filming, and we have to change things as we're filming. And this is also, this is something that happens in Hollywood too, and this happens in the industry. You see beginnings of seasons where where the writers and the creators and the showrunners have ideas, and then something happened that causes them to change it. Falcon and Winter Soldier is a great example of that, where they had to change something because of the COVID pandemic. So it's a reality that we faced, and we did face it in season 5. We had to make some changes, and we faced that in every season, where we had to change things along the way because of actor availability, or things just didn't make any sense anymore, or something had happened that we did organically that was a great change one day, but that meant that we had to change something that reflected that later on. So it's an interesting process that you always have to keep your brain working in order to not lose track of these things. And I have a lot of spreadsheets that help me to do that. So.
But now, because the show has been for so long, and the awards, everything, do you feel more pressure now when you think about the season, or do you feel you have the same mind from before? You do what you think is the right, or you do things also how people are going to get that?
I think that's actually something that I have felt this season, especially. I've really been very nervous about this season, because one of the things that, again, people really gravitated towards this show because Hunter and Anthony are separated, and it's that will they, won't they kind of relationship. And we want them to get back together, and now they're back together. It's not going to be the same kind of story anymore, and will people enjoy that? Will people feel as connected or interested or drawn? Or that's a big question that I have. Also, will people feel comfortable with some of the toxicity that we try to deal with and address in the show? That's me holding a mirror up to nature in some ways. Not saying that our audience is like that, but they might have friends or family who are like that. And there's a couple. Especially after this past year, with past 2 years, with everything going on in politics in the U.S. and all. People have really had a lot of struggle and a lot of issues with how their family react to things and how their friends react to the world, and it's hard to see that, and they might not want to see that in their entertainment. So these are things that definitely I've asked myself, but I also feel like if we're telling stories just because they're going to make people feel happy all the time, and it's a pure escapism, that's great, and there's definitely a need for that, but we want to tell elevated escapism, basically. We want to tell escapism with a purpose.
You do have problem with YouTube, like for example for us, or Fluffies channel, or even in Basic Sex, sometimes you have issues, like you post something, you get like a notification from YouTube say this is not the right thing, kind of.
We've had issues, not with Skeleton Crew yet, but But Skeleton Crew has been pretty good at not posting anything that's too inappropriate. I mean, one of the things in my writing is I very rarely, if ever, use any curse words, so that's not an issue that usually ever comes up. And then we don't really have much in the way of nudity, although it's not so much YouTube that I've noticed problems with, it's TikTok. I've been posting pictures and clips from some of the shows for TikTok, and there are things that are perfectly, like, not at all what I think are bad, but TikTok has flagged 3 of my videos over the past year that are not even sexual at all, but they've flagged them as sexual, and I'm just pretty amazed by that because I haven't dealt with that in YouTube. I mean, YouTube has been the most that we get from YouTube is you're using one of Nikia's songs, so this can't be monetized, and I'm like, well, I mean, we kind of knew that was going to happen, so that's fine. But no, it's with TikTok that I've noticed the problems.
They have a fat phobic algorithm. That's all.
I think they do. I mean, because all of them are me. It's usually me topless. So I guess they don't like me topless on TikTok. So that's so strange sometimes how their algorithms work. I don't get it completely. Well, I've seen people in the plus size community that do say that a lot of it is based on being plus sized, and if you are somebody who is a plus size model or actor or influencer, you trip the algorithm more than others.
Going back a little bit to the musical episode.
The musical episode was something that I've been dreaming about doing for a very long time because I love musical theater. I love musical theater very, very much. But I didn't think I was going to do it this season because it felt like I wasn't in the right place for it. I wasn't ready for such a project. I knew it was going to be a bigger project than what I expected it to be, and surprised it was much even bigger than what I planned on it being. So it's a very, very big entertaining. But then Nikia, when I mentioned it to Nikia, he's like, well, let's do it. Let's do it together. And Nikia is such a talented musician, such a talented singer and songwriter. And he's like, why don't you write the lyrics and then send them to me and we'll see what we can do. And I said, well, I have to find an organic reason to have a musical episode first because I didn't want to just start singing songs for no reason. Not that I don't think that's a valid way to do a musical theater, but Skeleton Crew isn't a musical, so I wanted to have a valid reason to have a musical episode. And it came to me. I had a great idea for a musical episode, and I said, this is very organic. It makes sense why people would be singing. Let's do it, Nikia. And so Nikia and I just did 15 songs, and we jumped into an undertaking that was vastly larger than I had ever anticipated.
And I just want to do a quick side note that I don't have a musical theater background. I was very nervous about the whole thing. And these two just locked themselves away and came up with these lyrics and these songs. And then out of nowhere, like, I finally heard these things. And these are legit songs. Like, this is stuff that you would hear. Like, the production value, I think, that these two fused into this material is astronomical as far as where it's at. And to have heard, like, the originally what they were going to be, and now, like, slowly hearing snippets of the post-studio sessions and Josh cutting together all the footage, it's like, this thing is legit. Like, I'm not even a big musical kind of guy, but, like, I can just fully appreciate how good this material is and how, like, these songs transcend even Skeleton Crew. And I think people who just like musical material will listen to this stuff and listen to this album, essentially, because by itself, it tells its own story. And it's really, as much as it's corely ingrained in Skeleton Crew, it's just its own thing. And I think that's going to hopefully bring a lot of people into Skeleton Crew because they'll see that's what's going on. Oh, now let me go check out the other episodes, or now I'm on board for everything moving forward, because they really made their mark with this episode, and I cannot wait for everybody to see it.
And do you sing?
Personally, I will go on the record, I'm not a singer. I've never been a good singer. I rarely do karaoke. And when the whole thing came up about Josh saying, now we're doing a musical, there are lots of actors on this set, or on this crew, who are musical inspired singers, professional singers, who are like, give me an opportunity, give me a song. And I said, I'm scared, I don't want to do it, I don't think I can do it. And Josh looked at me and said, Stuart, if you don't do this, you're going to kick yourself, because I know that everybody else is going to do a song and then you're going to feel left out. And I said, you know what, Josh, you're right. I should just push through, and I have you, and I have Nakia, and I have everybody to back me up and help me. And it did. It worked out. They gave me a song. Nakia wrote a song for Angie that is so Angie sounding. Like it's I don't, again, like Josh had said, as far as Nakia's musical capabilities, he like infused music with character, and in just such a way that I was like, this is such a great song. And it's such an Angie sounding song. And then we came up with an idea for the musical sequence, and we did it, and it's amazing. It really is amazing.
Wow, there's a, I don't know if you, there's a sign in here, but no.
It's going off because the musical episode is just so good.
Exactly.
It's a big challenge for sure.
I wasn't. I mean, when I say I was not expecting the simple amount of work that went into a musical episode, I wasn't expecting that times 1,000. I mean, we've done musical sequences before. We had in season 3 we have the Ballad of the Batwoman that we put together. Season 2, Ashley has has 2 songs. In season 3, we have a couple songs that 4. Ashley sings a couple songs as well. So we had musical sequences. Yolanda did a couple sequences as well. I thought, okay, we got this, but then I realized, wait, if we're gonna do a musical, we have to actually like really like step it up and make this like something people are gonna want to listen to. As Stuart said, we're gonna have a cast album that is just on its own without being even connected to Skeleton, something that I think people will just love listening to because the music is so incredible, and all of that is because of the amazing work that Nakia and then our producer Matt Parmenter put into it, and with some amazing lyrics that I've helped write as well. So I won't sell myself. Do I sing in it? I was not going to, and Nakia said.
Oh, he totally was going to. No, he's just saying that. He was totally
No. I did not write myself a song originally. I didn't. And then Nakia's like, look, you're one of the stars of the show. You have to have a song.
He was going to sing a song. We all know he was
I didn't plan on it. I was not going to. Because, again, I love musical theater so much, but I know that my voice compared to Ashley's or Nakia's or all the other people who sing on the show, my voice is just not the same level as theirs. But Nakia just told me, like, look, you are one of the stars of the show. If you don't have a song, it will look ridiculous. So I did it. And so, yep, I sing on the show. And I'm very, very happy that I do because I love to sing and I love having the fact that I'm going to have a song in a musical theater that based on when people all growing up have told me that you will never, ever sing for anything professionally. So I'm like, well, now I can say that I have. Even if I had to do it myself, I mean, I still did it. So it's still professional. So,
is there going to be a musical on Broadway of Skeleton Crew kind of thing?
If you ask Nakia, yes.
Nakia is very ambitious about this,
and I mean, there's a good chance we could find a way to turn this into a stage show. Absolutely, yeah.
That's so cool.
That's cool.
So, Stuart, get ready to sing on stage.
Yep.
Can I just do a lip sync track? Can I just, because I don't know if I'll ever get as good as I was in that studio when we recorded it, because without him and Nakia and the producer guy just literally there, like holding my hand through the whole process, I don't think that magic is ever going to happen again, but we'll see.
That's what rehearsal's for.
Yeah, that's what lots of rehearsals are for.
Yes.
How did you prepare for it?
Obsessively listening to the song over and over and over and over again. And as Josh can attest, I went into the studio and the producer guy was like, man, your timing is perfect. You clearly know the song. You've done your homework. But there's this pitch issue. and not having a musical background, I was like, I've heard this term pitch before, but like I don't really know what you're asking me to do. I just keep doing it into the microphone, and and so I don't know. It's good. It turned out really good, and I was very nervous and very anxious and very apprehensive. But then after I heard what it's turning into, I got a little snippet this weekend of hearing where it's at, and I'm proud. It sounds great. I'm not ashamed anymore. Like I've got a legit song that I'm gonna promote the heck out of, and that's gonna feel good. So that's all thanks to Josh. Yeah.
How was for you to listen to that for the first time, the song?
Oh, Like I just listened to it over and over again, just kept singing to myself, not knowing if it was actually, what I was supposed to be doing. But, the whole goal at that point, usually you would go into a studio, I imagine, Josh, you can attest to this or not, go into a studio, record the song, get the song done, and then you go and film the sequence with the track, and you're essentially lip syncing to the track while you're performing the song for the video. We did it backwards a little bit, where we had the Nakia track, where Nakia went and sung all the material, and we were all just trying our best to get to where, what he had created. And so, but luckily it all worked out, and it all just sort of coalesced and came together, and it's looking pretty legit, I gotta say.
But Stuart's right. Like a lot of what I do, we did it backwards. We should have recorded all of the songs first, and then filmed the musical sequences. But it just, I mean, again, in the world of independent filmmaking, you can't always do things the right way or the normal way. You've got to do things the way that makes it work. And I have an amazing team of people that are all really happy to just go the unconventional route, the road less traveled, as they say.
And this episode is going to be online in October.
So the musical episode should premiere in October, yes. With season 5 coming out in 2 weeks on July 25th for our non-Patreon subscribers, or on July 17th for our Patreon subscribers. So subscribe on Patreon if you want it early. That means that
patreon.com/sidekick Productions.
Yes, patreon.com/SideKick Productions. But if you aren't subscribed to our Patreon, then you will be able to see the first episode of Skeleton Crew on July 25th, which means the musical will come out in October, which does mean, yes, there's a lot of story in between now and the musical episode coming out. So don't miss it. I mean, every week you're going to want to tune in. So
is that going to be?
Yeah, it's not like that's the only good episode. They're all good leading up to that. It's just that's the big shebang,
Is that like the finale episode?
It's actually the penultimate episode. It's the episode we're right after the musical episode will be the 2-part finale.
How many episodes are going to be this season?
This season we will have 14 weeks of television for you.
Ooh,
looking forward to it.
Josh don't play around. He has a full old school full season. He doesn't do the BBC route. It's full American television.
So there'll be the Patreon on the 17th, and then
on the 25th
YouTube
for YouTube. Yep.
What else do Patreon get?
Since you talk about that, tell us what. If you sign up, what you're gonna get?
Sure. Well, you get. It depends on the level that you sign up for, but you get access to a lot of content that we haven't released before. You'll get access to photos and behind the scenes gag reels and clips that we had to cut for time or for story purposes. You'll see alternate takes. We filmed with the musical sequence. You'll see different versions of the song that we filmed that changed completely from beginning to end of the production process. You'll get to join on live streams of Nakia and me when we are working together to record or to score the episodes. There's a lot of stuff you get actually. It's for anybody who's a big fan of the Crewniverse and just wants to support our work. It's a great way to round out your understanding and experience with the work that we do.
Yeah, like you said, it takes a lot of work.
Oh yeah,
to do that. So you need to pay your bills too, pay everything. How can you do?
That's very, very true.
If you want to remain an independent artist, it costs a lot.
I guess more you do, more expensive it gets. I guess
that's
these and that.
The musical episode itself is probably cost what we usually spend in one season. Not in addition to the musical episode, we had the rest of the season to film. So this was a very costly season for anybody.
Josh doubled down on all of his expenses just to make it double as good.
It was a pricey time, but that's okay because we have an amazing season of Skeleton Crew for everyone to watch.
So tell us about how it was to get back into the swing of things after such a long hiatus.
Well, Skeleton Crew had been basically filmed right before the pandemic hit. March 17th is basically when New York City shut down. Going to film a little bit of some of the remaining scenes between a few characters in March, and then obviously that had to stop because we didn't know what was going on and everything. And then from March until May, we didn't do anything because we were sort of just stuck at home and we didn't know what was going on. And I know in Canada things were handled a lot better than they were in the US overall, and the US had a lot of struggle with COVID-19. And then by May, I knew that season 5 wasn't going to come out in 2020. It just wasn't. But I knew that we all wanted to put something out. So I knew I was sad and missing all my friends and family from Skeleton Crew and SideKick Productions. So we put together an at-home episode for quarantine. And we did what I call season 4.5, the quarantine episode. And it was this beautiful little 12, 13-minute episode of as many people who felt comfortable filming at home. And it was just about us connecting while we were all stuck away from each other. And it was just a really beautiful little thing. And it has actually some seeds that I planted to lead into season 5. So I couldn't help but do that. So but then after that, we started SideKick Power Hour, which in June, and that was a great way for us to connect every Monday night on our StreamYard through our YouTube channel, and we got to start revisiting Skeleton Crew, and we watched from the beginning, and it was really fun to bring back old actors that we hadn't seen for some years now because they had moved or because they weren't available anymore, and we got to just revisit them and talk to them about their experiences on the show. And so, but then July 11th, we were told by the Way Station, which is the place that lets us film the money shot scenes, that they were closing because of the pandemic. And they said, look, we know that you didn't finish everything you wanted to finish. If you want to film, let's come in quickly and do that. And so I got me and Stuart and Ashley and Jay, and we all made sure that we were not positive or anything for COVID, and we got together and we filmed for a day at the Money Shots location to finish up Money Shots because that was important to do, and we wanted to say goodbye to the bar as well because it was just it's our second home in a lot of ways. But really, I'd been working on Skeleton Crew the whole time. It was like I never left, and then in some ways it was just an incredible thing to get back together because with Barbara, who plays Carla on the show, she I didn't see her until what was it? April of this year, because she and I agree with her completely. She wanted to be extra cautious and make sure she waited till the vaccine came out, and I agree with her on that. And I always encourage people to get vaccinated. And so we didn't see each other until that happened. But in order to prepare for things like that, I did a lot of training on COVID safety on the set. There's a lot of courses that you can take online for COVID protection, COVID safety. We made sure that we were working in locations which are COVID friendly and COVID safe and secure. It's like riding a bicycle in a lot of ways, especially with these people, because these are such an amazing group of people. And we're just such a well-oiled machine that even if we hadn't been together for months in person, we still just fell right back into our old rhythms, and it was just great.
But you have to adapt anything because of COVID, like any story, because so long time, people change, people lose weight or gain weight, the hair, things change.
The hair was the biggest problem, especially for me, because my hair is now down past my shoulders, because I haven't had a haircut since October 2019. So it's been a very long time, and
we had ours on Friday.
I am
quarantine look.
I am waiting for season 2 of Demon Doctor to finish filming so I can cut my hair, because I really need to cut my hair. It's very, very long, and I actually don't mind it longer. It's just it's a little too long for me to do anything with, and it's just a very long, which is actually, side note, is a very interesting response I get to that. I have never gotten so many messages on Instagram when I post a picture when my hair is down that says, "Gross, please cut your hair." And it's been very fascinating to see that. I've been like, wow, this is a very interesting response, and that goes into the toxicity that I'm addressing in season 5 of Skeleton Crew, because just because I have longer hair now, I guess it's more, I don't know if is it more feminine or something, I don't know, but it's an interesting response that I'm getting for that.
Don't worry, Josh, I've gotten the same thing, don't worry.
when I had a haircut last time or last year, somebody posted a Mexican. Oh, it looks so much better, so much clean.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like, was that dirty because I have a longer beard, longer like kind of funny way.
Yeah, they're not doing
Absolutely.
beard trims, so we
There's a
have to wait.
stigma. There's a stigma associated with it for some reason.
I don't get it, but I yeah, because before my long hair, I had never gotten messages like that where it's like, change your hairstyle. I'm like, oh, but now it's like, cut your hair, please cut your hair. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't really want to go to a barbershop right now. I mean, yeah, I am vaccinated, but I don't really feel comfortable stepping into a barbershop. And also now I can't because I'm in the middle of filming Demon Doctor season 2. My hair's going to change a lot. But your question was, what about Skeleton Crew changing a lot because of which was sorry, I had these interesting side note that I had. We added things like some aspects of the musical episode we had to address when my hair was longer. And we did. And again, it was very organic. We made it work. And then other scenes that we had to film as pickups, I had to wear a hat or I had to just adjust my costume a little bit. And there are things that I just wouldn't have normally worn or done for Anthony. The storylines did not have to change really, though. Fortunately, those were things that didn't have to change because everybody came back and everybody wanted to do that. And continuity again is not always our biggest strength in the show. So because we're filming over 9 months, I mean we can't always film. So we can't always keep everything consistent. So like there was the time that Stuart had to dramatically change his hairstyle one season, and we had to work with that and adjust that. If people are that hung up on our continuity, then I guess they don't understand the kind of show that we're trying to make, which is a show that is an independent project, and independent projects have a lot of things outside of their control.
And also, season 4 had clean shaved, no beard, anything.
Yep. And season 5 too. Season 5, Stuart won't have any beard or anything. But season 6, Stuart, you never know what can happen in season 6.
See. Angie might just totally change. Angie might just radically change his look for season 6. We don't know yet.
So it's good news. There'll be a season 6 then.
That's the goal. As long as everybody wants to jump on the next crazy train with me, and then absolutely there should be a season 6. So
yeah, Patreon people, go.
Good to know.
Please,
one season at a time. You know.
We were very lucky to be able to still make art from our homes, and then because we're all filmmakers, we're all used to making self tapes for auditions. We're all used to doing things on our own. We're able to make some magic happen, even if we don't have one another around.
Do so many shows at the same time. How do you handle the hats?
I don't sleep a lot, so that's one way. But I also just have, different people are working hard on different things. Like I've got Paul, who does a lot of the amazing work of the makeup on Demon Doctor. He takes a lot of the extra work on that side of things. I have an amazing people behind this camera with me for every show. Anthony Smith in particular is a wonderful, wonderful person who helps out. But also Ashley and Stuart are always there helping out. Christian Marte. We have such an amazing team of people who are willing to do all these different hats. Also, I try to be in different states for this. Like when we're filming Demon Doctor, I'm trying to be in like maybe post-production of Skeleton Crew. When we're in pre-production for another show, I want to be in production of another show. I try not to be in production of 2 shows at once because that's just gonna be a little too much and that's gonna be a little too crazy. But it's about finding the right balancing act to make it all happen.
And do you see the Skeleton goes many years ahead, or how do you see that? Do you think it's something you have juice enough for that, or do you think it's something
I have at least a couple more seasons in my head. So we'll see how that goes. I have a couple more seasons for sure in my head of where I want to go with it. So I have a loose end goal in mind, and we'll see how that goes.
Hey, short round. Can you move out of the way? I'm trying to sample the goods. Thanks for the show, Bubba, but I was trying to scope out that guy behind you. Damn it, you better hope I find him again, or you owe me.
if anyone wants to check out season 5 of Skeleton Crew, or season 1 through 4 of Skeleton Crew, or Demon Doctor season 1, or the Future Demon Doctor season 2, or The Art of Blowing It season 1, or Sidekick Power Hour, you can watch all of that at youtube.com/SideKick Productions. And then everything is going to be there. Or if you want to subscribe and see everything early on our Patreon, it's patreon.com/SideKick Productions. And then just follow us on Facebook and Instagram, because we have a lot of great content out there, and I hope that you all have a chance to watch it.
Everything he said times 2. Yeah. Definitely follow us at if you like our stuff, just go to SideKick Productions at YouTube and you can get on the crazy train right along with us.
Well, I do want to just say thank you so much for having us here today. I had so much fun talking to you guys. I think it was a year ago at this point. I don't know.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I had so much fun talking to you last year, and then thank you so much for inviting me back on and letting me bring this wonderful friend of mine, Stuart. I really, really appreciate it, and thank you so much for the work that you do promoting positivity in the community, because I think it's such a wonderful thing to just click on your pages and everything and just see how much fun you're having in general, but also how much fun you're trying to spread to the community and how much joy and love you share with everyone. So thank you for that.
Yeah, like we had touched on earlier, I, for one, and I know a lot of people who appreciate just putting the material out that makes us all feel a little bit more normal in all this craziness. So
it was so much fun chat. Thank you, Joshua. Thanks, Stuart. Please check it out, July 25th, or if you're on Patreon,
July 17th.
Yes. So you can watch the show, the other shows. They do so much work, so much passion. So please support them.
Yeah, it's great to see something that people love.
Yes. And also something for community producing things and embracing body positivity, working together. So many things in that.
And it's really important.
Yeah, so support them, please. So I got the t-shirt. You can get the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Also, like our page, follow us, subscribe, and
click on the bell so you get an announcement that we have a new video.
Yes. Do you like Skeleton Crew or one of the shows?
Who's your favorite character?
Yes. Have any questions for next time you can ask them?
Yeah.
And the most important is...
stay fluffy.